Welcome to Obsession Engineering at Cadwell Park. I've just done morning walk, like 6 laps on my BMW. It's unseasonably warm. We're not going to complain about the temperature. We are definitely not going to do that, because normally in September at Cadwell Park it'll be underwater, so this is all right. But to say I've undressed quickly, the last time I took clothes off that fast was on date night. So I am back here for an NG Road Racing Club meeting, and I have with me the Twin and my BMW, and I'm doing the Super Twin and the Open class. This is my first race meeting back after TT. I've done quite a lot of riding since then. I've done quite a few days at Blighton coaching with Rapid, and we're developing the Trackmaster stuff, so keep posted on rapidtraining.co.uk for that. And I've also been riding around in America a lot, so I am almost acclimatised to the heat, but I haven't been pushing myself to my limit. And so yesterday's test day was a little bit of an eye-opener, because it took a few sessions to get my eye back in, but I'm somewhere near now. I've got morning warm up on the Twin in a few minutes, but before that we'll give you a little show of what we've been doing to the bikes. The BMW is exactly as I normally run it at short circuit. So I've done a little bit of work after TT. I've put the Superbike type brakes back on it. I've put the short circuit tank on, because I don't want to wreck a good big TT tank if I crash it. Put the quiet silencer back on it. Put the chain length shorter back to what I normally run at short circuit, and obviously changed gearing, springs, geometry, damping settings, all that sort of stuff, and put the right map in it that goes with that pipe. So that is as normal. The Twins had a similar routine. We've changed the swinging arm length and chain length at T2. We run it longer because that actually wheelies quite a lot. So we've got back to the shorter wheelbase because it works a little bit better here with the gearing, and we've basically put the damping rates back to normal. But this bike, the short circuit setup TT setup is almost the same. We'll literally run a tiny bit softer on some of the compression dampings and a little bit more steering damper at TT, and that's near enough it because the chassis is that good. The change for here, for this meeting, is it's the first time I've run Cadwell Park on our tuned engine that's buried in there, so I'm hoping my lap times will be, well, I'm actually hoping the lap times on that will be almost as quick as that, because I need to put my finger out on that. The other thing we've got buried down here is an ABS delete module that we're testing for Jet Prime, and so far that is working perfectly, and that's about it as far as the bikes are concerned. The biggest thing I'm actually working on this weekend is my own riding, because I know that that's where most of the gains will come from. And actually the very specific thing I'm trying to test this weekend is these 2 fingers. I have always 4-finger braked. So 4 fingers on the brake lever, you pull the brake lever. I've always done that, but I've learned from working with the likes of Franco and Tim that 1 or 2 fingers is better. Franco 1-finger brakes, so he can brake like that, and he's got full grip of the throttle, so he can brake, and as he lets the brake off he's already twisting the throttle because he's got loads of grip on the throttle. I tried it, I don't have enough strength in that finger. It turns out I do all my braking power with that finger, but I can't 1-finger brake with like that because that's just weird, and so I'm trying to learn to 2-finger brake. And what I've learned so far is I can do it, but weirdly I get arm pump easier if I do that, and I can't turn the bike as well. For some reason, if I'm 4-finger braking, I've actually got more shove on the bar. So at the moment, if I'm trying to do a fast lap, I go back to 4 fingers. If I'm actually learning and concentrating on what I'm doing, I go back to 2 fingers, and the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. So what I'm trying to do is learn that, because I think in the end, it means I can keep grip of the throttle with that. I can brake, and as I release the brake, I can get back on the throttle early, and it should give me a faster transition. So if I crash halfway through the weekend, it's probably because I've done it wrong. Done both morning warm-ups, and then I've had qualifying on the Twin. I am P3 at 140.5, and I know I can go quicker. What I need to do now is drink a lot, and then it's quali on the big bike, which will be even more work. Normally I would like to rush in after a session and really show you that emotion as I've just got off the bike, and today I came in and went and put some shorts on because it's too hot for talking to a camera with my leathers on. Right, power bike quali was okay, and only did a 37, low 37, which is 4 seconds off what I've done at my best round here. But I'll be honest, I'm not at my best today. And we're on scrub tires from TT and stuff like that, so happy enough with that, and that puts me 5th on the grid. So actually the pace isn't mega fast out there, so hopefully we'll have a good race off that. But what I'm going to do now is sit down and get an ice cream, or get an ice cream and sit down. See, heats in my brain. Do you like my hat? You can buy one on the Obsession Engineering website. Get on there, it's worth it. And on a commercial note, what we noticed today was we'll nip for ice cream. The man with the ice cream van in the paddock had obviously taken the opportunity to profiteer off the lovely weather, and prices had gone up a lot. So we nipped down to the cafe and bought our ice creams there for the correct price. So that is our money-saving tip when going motorbike racing. Ignore the tyres and the petrol and the expense, and don't worry about that. Just get your ice cream from the clubhouse. You'll save yourself £2. A few minutes to go before I'm out on the twin for the race. I am P3 on the grid, so hopefully a decent start and go with the first couple of bikes that might be pre-injection 600s. See if I can get a toe off them. I would like to go sub 1 minute 40, that is the target for that today. But really, trophies and enjoying myself and all that sort of stuff should really be the priority. So, lap times it is. Race 1 for the weekend is go! And my start was actually pretty good. The rest of my first lap was a little bit too relaxed, so I did lose a couple of positions. But it was still blooming good fun to be out there racing again, because racing motorbikes is ace. I do feel like I should almost apologise to the man on the Mini Twin who was sticking with me very well around the corners, and then I unleashed all my horsepower. I've paid for it. The Twin is the easier bike to ride. It is hot, I am melting. We've only done 7 laps in that race, and that was hard work in that heat, so big bike's going to be fun in an hour or two. I've adjusted absolutely nothing on the bike from my base settings. We're still on the same tyres because the improvement needs to come from the rider, so there are no excuses about the bike. So that's it. I'm going to wait till the last corner before I get my helmet on because it is toasty. Then we're going to go in, we're going to try and go faster. Probably. Luckily the Twin had warmed me up nicely, so the big bike didn't feel too offensively hard work. One of the advantages of a big bike is you get more airflow down the straights, because they are fast, and we like fast motorbikes. Once Ricky Elder had missed a gear coming out of the chicane, I was pretty much riding on my own for the race, and I was okay with that. as normal, that bike, and to be fair, the twin, faultless. Yeah, spot on. I actually enjoyed that race. Not a bad start, not brilliant, but not bad. And just chipped away, and I think I did 5 laps in the 36s, which, don't get me wrong, the BSB boys are not going to be worried about me, but it's faster than I've been the rest of the weekend, and it was consistent. I just kept trying to hit my markers, hit my turn points and brake markers and stuff like that, and a couple of times I was just a little bit wide when I was pushing markers a little bit, and I was playing with my line a little bit onto the back straight, onto Park Straight, see if I could square it off a bit more and get a bit more drive. And yeah, it's little bits, but that was definitely positive. I think I probably could have dipped into a 35 last lap, but I got a back marker at the chicane. But it just means I've got to do it tomorrow. Yeah, so really, that's been a good first day back racing, and I have enjoyed it. Riding motorbikes is great, going racing is brilliant, and even just doing a club race in the sweltering heat, gotta love this sport. So yeah, that'll do. We'll have another go tomorrow, see if we can go a bit faster. For most of TT, and so far over the weekend, I've been running the standard brake discs, which actually are okay. But they're not the best things in the world, and we like having the best things. We did have some HPK Brambos, but in just over a season, the carrier, the aluminium bit that actually carries the disc, it wore out. Where the bobbins are, it basically wears really, really fast, and then the disc rattles that much, it floats too much, and when you hit the brake, it flutters, and it feels like brake warpage, and you get this juddering through the brakes, and there's nothing you can do with it apart from replace the brake discs. So we're not having a new set of Brambos, we are having something better. I have some Moto Masters to fit to the bike. We're actually running these Moto Master discs on our Fireblader Superstock. Hawker using me in Superbike. These are awesome, and they're pretty similar money to HPK Brambos, so these are definitely going to be better than standard. And because I'm fitting new discs, I'm also fitting new brake pads. So that's wheel out, original disc removed, and I've given it a clean around the disc area where it's easier to get to with the disc off. I then have my new disc, drop that on there. I like to just give them a little move around to get any dirt off around the mounting points, and then I'm going to give my disc bolts a generous dab of high strength Loctite and torque them up, because of all the things you don't want coming loose on your bike, the brakes is high on the list. I like to lay all the elements out on a piece of paper so that if I put in the same pads back in, I make sure I put the pad back in the same side of the caliper so that it's already mated to the disc, and then I just arrange everything there so it's basically nice and neat. Now, we used to use brake cleaner for cleaning brakes because it's called brake cleaner, so you'd think it'd be for cleaning brakes. Turns out brake cleaner, because it's quite aggressive, it dries out the seals in the calipers, so it actually makes the brakes worse over a period of time. And sometimes I use GT85, a sort of WD-40 type lubricant, and it is quite good because it slides nice and easily, but again, the chemicals in it might react with the seals. They probably don't, but you never know. And so what we've ended up using is soapy water. I use Moto Wash. This bottle looks fairly battered because we actually 50-50 this with water because it's actually quite strong. So I use 50-50 Moto Wash and water. Do not use Fairy Liquid because it's full of salt, which we don't want to get into these things. So basically a sort of generic detergent, ideally a bike wash thing, is perfect for cleaning your brakes. Because I do this brake cleaning routine every weekend or every time I've ridden the bike, they do come up nice and easily because there's not a lot of brake dust build up. So once I've given them a bit of a scrub, I like to give them a little rinse off with just plain water. And if I had an air compressor with me, I would dry them with a compressor, but it's that warm this weekend, they're going to dry in no time anyway. Now that I've got my caliper nice and clean, I need to push the pads back into the caliper because my new pads and my new discs are thicker, but I want to be nice and slow pushing these back in, because if I push these fast they'll just try and push the next set of pistons out, and we don't want that because popping the pistons out is a faff because we've got to re-bleed everything. And because I currently have the other caliper off, I've got to be careful it's not pushing the pads out in that caliper as well. So, nice and slowly, so it just pushes the fluid back into the master cylinder. So that's my new pads fitted. I like the GPFAX EBCs, and I've done a little bit of lock wiring on the bolt that holds everything together so that nothing can definitely come out, because again, we don't want brakes falling apart. And that's it. One caliper done, do the other one, pop the front wheel back in, job's a carrot. Good news! Rob's here! And Rob is now a BSB race-winning mechanic. And as such, he's already complaining about the amateurish efforts in this paddock.
I've literally turned up this morning. I've been here probably 20 minutes. There's no bin bag. He's telling me to put the wrong wheels in the wrong bikes. I can't work with these amateurs.
Rob, how was your standing weekend at Marvel, winning Superstock at Cadwell BSB round?
Do you know what? I absolutely loved it. It was everything I'd expect it to be. Intense, serious, fun, and very rewarding.
So you got to ride a race-winning bike in front of 30 or 40,000 people?
Yeah, as Tim pulled up on the #1 spot on the grid, well, after the race, should I say, they all went to the podium and somebody had to ride the bike back up the circuit in his shorts and t-shirt in front of 35,000 people. A British Superstock bike I've never sat on before, which was, yeah, don't stall it, don't stall it, don't stall it.
And it's got no steering wheel.
No, but it went all right. We didn't crash it on the cool down lap, shall we say? So.
Excellent, now get back to work.
Oh.
A steady morning warm-up on the twin, mostly because I was bedding discs in, so I wasn't revving the bike all the way down the straights because we would save a bit of engine mileage. A couple of laps in, you can feel the brake getting better and better as the discs bed in, so I'm happy that they're ready for the race. Rob and actually Izzy have been doing the fuel in the bike because Rob's brought the wife along and he's training her up. So this is it. I'm basically like MotoGP now. I just come in, put my feet up, watch people work on the bike. It's the exact opposite of BSB. Sunday morning, race one on the twin, and a slightly different camera perspective to show you why I use aluminium toe sliders. Moderately frustrating to end up mixed with the 600s, with the pre-injection bikes, because I can out-corner them and I can out-brake them, but they just tend to just pull a couple of bike lengths down the straights. And to be fair, only when I'm in like 5th and 6th gear do they just pull a little bit, just stops me getting a move on them. And a couple of them were going defensive a lot. Last lap he was, well, last 2 or 3 laps I think he was knackered, he was going defensive everywhere, so I got me the hairpin, then he got me down the start finish, and yeah, I think I could have gone considerably quicker with clear track, but you don't get clear track in house racing. But it was fun. It was elbows out and diving up the inside of people, and yeah, it was a laugh. And first twin, so that'll do really. Right, next race I'd like just one clear lap so I can see if I can get a lap time. Turns out I should have had a rear-facing camera for that race because I would have had a lot of footage of the Kramer and LaraMoto.
Yeah, I spent a fair bit of time looking at your arse, to be honest.
Was it a nice view?
It was an infuriating view, to be absolutely fair. There was times when I was kind of like sending it into Mansfield. I was like, oh bloody Dave. It was good, really, really good. So I'm on a Kramer Evo, and to put it bluntly, if you want a race bike straight out of the box, this is the one you want. It's a 690 single-cylinder KTM engine with a custom KTM frame, and then it comes with all the ancillaries that, depending on your budget, you can use or not use. So starting from the top, we've got the Brembo, I think, RTS 19 system, so a fantastic, and then the kind of Stylemma calipers. So it stops well enough. In fact, it stops extremely, extremely well. So we've got Brembos on the front. We've got probably a Kramer brake pad, a Kramer brake caliper on the rear. And then we've got an upgraded like GP rear suspension system, so slightly better than stock. And then we've got WP front forks, individual compression and rebound. What's novel about the Kramers is the weight distribution. So firstly, it's a single, so it's already lighter, but the tank is actually the whole of the subframe. So all this is tank. So the filler cap is here, and this plastic paneling is all tank. So that
the subframe is the tank.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. Yep. And then you've got an air box under here and basically a cover, and it's a lightweight bike. So what does that really mean compared to what? Because you and I, Dave, we're pulling against the pre-injection 600s, and we're much lighter. Well, I'm much lighter. I've only got a single to deal with. I've got 80 brake, and what I'm keeping up with you, and you're on
over 100 horsepower.
Over 100 horsepower.
Mid 150s kilograms.
So with the right pilot, you've got a much simpler bike that is capable of keeping up with the Super Twins. And I think people need to get out of their head that 600 is the next step. I think 600s are almost like a dying genre, a dying race. I think it's all about twins and all about singles. And you can have one of these or a Super Twin and have a great battle. And that's evidenced by our recent exchanges on the track, Dave.
So what we're saying is, if you want an out-of-the-box race bike,
yep,
there's lightweight, fun,
yep,
doesn't eat tyres,
yep, yes,
and in effect goes around a racetrack like a 600,
yes,
buy a Kramer.
You've put it together perfectly.
Done. Go on, plug your own stuff.
Oh, yeah, so I'm a presenter for Bike World, so please subscribe to that channel. I also have a more modest, my own channel called LaraMoto, which is just here. But yeah, I have a full-time job, I'm a chartered engineer, but bikes have always been the biggest passion of mine, as I'm sure you can share, and that's why I'm here today. So yeah, give me a follow Bike World, and obviously follow Obsession Engineering. Nice.
Back out on the big bike, and this time I'm going to give you an illustrated demonstration of big bike versus 600 in the open race. To say you've got more horsepower is an understatement. A 600 is a little bit easier, you can carry a little bit more corner speed, but when you get to a straight, you want power.
Right, in the absolute polar opposite to the twin race, the only bikes I saw in that entire race were faster than me. And I was basically doing the same lap time as yesterday. I think I was 2/10 quicker or something. and it was going okay, but not. I don't think my best riding. I was a little bit missed a few apexes here and there, and probably just wasn't detailing my riding quite as well as I should do. So in the next race, I might just go a little bit stiffer in the forks, because as I'm trailing the brake and it feels a little bit soft, so I'm not pushing the front any harder. So I might just put a little bit of preload in the front, purely off feel, see if it helps. If it doesn't, it's my own fault. Shouldn't really be chasing settings at the moment, but I'm going to try it and see. And other than that, I just need to ride faster, basically. We've had lunch. It was very sociable. Half the people I know in the whole world appeared to be at Cadwell Park today. So sat around in the warm, trying not to fall asleep, and chilling out with people, and it was very nice. And so yes, that was very sociable. Rob got me an ice cream, which went down very well. But now we have to build up the energy levels again and go racing for the last afternoon. It's still quite warm, but we're definitely not complaining about it. And again, it's twin first and a couple of races off and big bike. So, not changed anything at all on the twin. And what I need to do is get in front of some 600s and actually try and get some lap times in. That is the plan. So it might have to be elbows out first lap. My start wasn't brilliant. Some of the others were a little bit optimistic, if I'm honest. But it did mean I got swallowed up a bit by the group going into the first corner. But it did give me a chance to get my elbows out and do some real racing, passing people wherever I could. Terrible start. I'd convinced myself I'm going to get a good start, and then talk myself into making a terrible start, and then slightly had angry head on, so actually got into passing people and mugging, and yeah, I was determined to go forwards. No idea if it was actually any faster or not, but yeah, had the grit between my teeth a little bit and just actually enjoyed that. It was good fun. Mugging some 600s, mugging a couple of twins, another twin win. Yeah, that was actually quite good fun until they red flagged it. Unfortunately, Lara and somebody else have tipped off through Hall Bend. Hopefully they're all right. Right, a couple of races off and big bike to finish the weekend. See if we can keep on passing people. Steve Moody, you got in front of me again on the first lap, so I had to do some mugging. Good fun that race?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Well done on learning to get your elbows out in the first corner. So I think you picked a little bit of a trick up for me on the first one, but yeah, had an absolutely blinding weekend. Gone a little bit quicker every time, so can't really moan at that, can you? But yeah, well done for you. You had some good results, so well done.
Most importantly, do you love mobile racing?
Absolutely love it. It's got to be better than going to garden centres on a Sunday, isn't it?
Definitely. Elaine, you've obviously had a good weekend because you've got an actual trophy in the way of these things.
I have indeed. I've got some knee sliders, some whiz knee sliders.
And they even match the colour of your bikes.
They do indeed. It's just a shame I can't get my knee down.
Rob, I can't help noticing, it must be the heat. Your normal quiff has melted.
Do you know what? 13 years I've known you, and I've had 13 years of complete pee-taking about my Johnny Bravo quiff. So we've switched things up a bit, and now I've got a fucking toupee on apparently.
It's getting a bit dull up there, and there is thunderstorms forecast, so we're hoping that we're going to get the race in before it comes. And the good thing is it has actually cooled down a little bit, so we'll take the bonus when we get it. Wets are in. That must have taken us about 4 minutes, Rob. We're prepped.
Not even that, about 3 minutes, front and rear.
Job done.
Go ride it.
That's why you're a BSB race-winning mechanic, Rob.
Well, I mean, my first appearance at BSB, the rider won. Turned up today to help you, First race you won. Second race on the twin you won. Did you win yesterday?
No,
Was I here yesterday?
no,
I see a pattern.
we do. Right, I better go and win then.
Yes.
I am on Dunlop wet, so we don't need warmers on them, especially not in the temperature of the tarmac at the moment. I've backed the suspension off a little bit, basically just taken preloaded a little bit, damping out of both ends, so the bike will transfer weight a little bit easier, and obviously you're not putting quite the same level of force into it. And over there I have chucked a clear visor on the helmet, and to be fair, I was expected to be underwater by now. It is definitely wet, but it's not absolutely hounding down, so this could be a really good wet race, and the tarmac is still toasty warm. I quite like racing in the rain, which means I'm quite relaxed about it and quite confident. So that was it, off the line, straight into second place, and I stayed there the whole race. I'm still sweating because it's still quite warm and it's very humid now, and weirdly that might have been the most fun I actually had all weekend, because I can actually see the leader, which is always good, and I wasn't far behind him, and second lap he had a big moment out of the hairpin, the thing just went sideways and feet off and pivoting, and he kept it, and I thought, oh, he's going to be weak for a few corners, and he was, and I got relatively close, and then he remembered what he was doing and pulled the pin a bit. And I just got to the point where I could feel the rear wiggling in a few places. I thought, do you know what? This is the pace. The front felt mega. I could sort of take the mickey a little bit into the chicane and stuff, but bike was mega. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Riding around in the wet is good for you because it smooths you out and sorts you out, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I will admit, through the weekend, when I started practice day, I was learning to two-finger brake. Once we got racing, I ignored trying to learn anything and just went as fast as I could. So yeah. Good end to the weekend, that. So that is the end of the weekend at Cadwell Park, and I have to admit, it sort of feels like I finished on a high, because second on the big bike, even though not that many people turned up, it's still a decent result, and I enjoy riding around the rain, and even better than that, I didn't know there was prize money, so I actually got 50 quid for it. So I have trophies, I've had a wonderful time, it's been good fun to be racing again, and I'd like to thank Rob and everybody who's come along and given me a hand this weekend. And I'd like to thank you for hanging around and watching all this. So thanks for watching. Join me again next time for some more motorbike fun.